All right, welcome. My name is Michael Akimbamiro. Thanks for joining me. Yeah, again, we're going to be talking about cybersecurity. If you have seen some of our previous classes, you will understand that we've actually touched on certain key areas where you really have to be grounded and understand, those concepts, especially when it comes to, concepts like authorization, concepts like authentication of users in your environment, and as how that really relates to confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Making sure that you are tying those back to, those three concepts of confidentiality, availability, and integrity, and understanding that this is very key and pertinent to what we do in security. All right, so today we're going to be looking at how to actually go about doing a security breach assessment. Now we have one here that I'm going to talk about quickly. It's This was an assignment that we kind of just looked at, and global media here it's just a parody, right? Just to make sure that we have something for to show you as an example. All right. So we're going to be conducting this global media tech cybersecurity breach in 2023, and the first thing is you have to understand what you are trying to achieve here. Now, the purpose of this is to make sure that we understand what happened, what are the gaps that led to the breach, what are the things that we can learn from the breach, how did we respond to that breach, and then what was the resolution at the end of the day. Now, if you come with me, I'm going to quickly talk through some of the items here. Now, the first thing we did was to, go over the methodology of what we are actually trying to achieve using certain standards. So, we did what we call the general risk assessment and research into the incident, and then we leverage certain standards to so that we can tie these things, these gaps, as we are seeing them. We can, identify and say this certain standard advises that we should have at least this minimum requirement or this type of requirement in place. So the narrative is in July 25, 2023, something happened. There was a breach, and upon investigation, it reveals that the network has been compromised successfully, and the data of customers, including personal PIIs and financial information, has been revealed to unauthorized user. Now, this also, from this statement, we also understood that it took them almost weeks to even understand that this breach, was underway. So we have to really understand the scope and understand the step by step of how this thing happened so that we can address those gaps and fix them by applying some good controls that can mitigate those in the future. Now, the first thing we realized that was that, well, there was just poor incident response plan. Now, incident response plan is something that you have to have in place to make sure that if anything happens, there is a way, there is a clear, objective, smart way of dealing with that issue. So there should be, in fact, there should be an incident response center so that we can coordinate our plan. And instead of just having a fire call, let's have a well-defined protocol, practice, procedures in place so that when these things happen, we can respond quickly. We can catch it, we can mitigate it quickly. All right, so they didn't have that. And another thing that we found was that, oh, while we are there, there was just, uh, in that environment, people have what we refer to as broken access control, which just simply means that people have, lateral movement, have privileges to information that they don't even have they don't need to have access to, or they have roles that are given to them, just assigned to them, and when they leave that role and they go into other roles, they just carry that access along. And also maybe even third party vendor in that environment having access to information that they don't have to have access to, having access to network systems that they don't really need and they don't really have to have access to. What this does is that if there is any breach in all these outlet openings, or ports, or point of calls, then if one is breached, then that means that it becomes very easy for an attack vector to actually gain entrance into that environment and wreak all sort of havoc. So that is why we are always saying that you need to have something like role-based access control in place that is strictly followed and rightly configured. Because even if you have it in place and it is wrongly configured, or badly configured, or badly managed, everybody's just using their discretion, everybody's an admin, then it doesn't work. So we really have to manage it that way. And there are some certain things where you even do a time managed access, where if you just need an access to do something on the table or on a database, maybe you just need an hour, we give you that an hour, and after that hour that access drops off. Those are the ways you consciously manage your access control so that you can keep a tight ship. All right. uh, Also, we found all sort of other things like data are sitting in data centers and on in the cloud and on-prem, in databases that are just sitting in plain text. Most of these data that are sitting in plain text are critical data that shouldn't even be sitting in plain text. So in this case, adding a sort of encryption on those data, using the even just using things like RSA, making sure that we really secure those systems will have been a better way to mitigate against this threat. Or again, we have what we call a broken authentication session and session management, where we have so many cookies, sessions hijack, and storage of username and password in a way that is not even hashed in that environment. And this get exposed to threat actors, and this is how people gain unauthorized access into environment. Inadequate data classification was another one. This one is very big. You have to understand the data that you are handling. The first thing is we have to start really working with other groups to identify what type of data we are handling. We have to work with like RIM management. We have to work like with application owners, with business owners, to really tell us what are things that will be passing through this network channel, and then we can put in things like WAF. Make sure that all the applications are secured. If there is any point of calls or API calls that is being made, we want to make sure that those API calls are within range of our IP addresses that are allowed to filter through, putting stateful firewall in place, having redundancy, making, even creating multiple data centers, so that, and then putting securities on those data centers, prioritizing security and not just using security as a reactive measure. These are the things that we need to do to understand, to actually hardening our system. Remove default password and things like that from your environment. Make sure that everybody that is coming in is known, so that you can have a good integrity of your data, and get a handle of what is going on within the environment. And this does not just happen by miracle. We have to be intentional about it. We have to work with other security teams, security architecture that can show us the layer, the flow diagram, and then we can begin to do what we call, mapping those areas that are weak points in our in our network security, and then put in adequate control and measures to make sure that we block those weaknesses and make them stronger. And these are the things that we need to do as an organization, we need to do as security analysts, we need to be pointing out. We also understand we have to link this with our business context, so that working with our business units, letting them know that at times for security's sake, we have to slow down so that we can go faster. Implementing controls that are, very sensible, and also making sure that we are leveraging things like ISO 27001, or making sure that we are really looking at those implementations, looking at things like PCI DSS, making sure that we are really following those documentation, looking at things like NIST is a very, very, very good framework, very broad, very detailed, that we can also leverage as a risk analyst. Oh, okay. Moving forward from that, we did, based on what we found out, we did what we call a quick and dirty risk analysis, where we look at the likelihood and impact of some of these vulnerabilities that we identify, and then we quickly suggest, putting ASAP some preventive controls within, we want to say within 0 to 90 days. We must make sure that we get this under control, and those are the high priority, high impact, high urgency issues. And we also put the recommendation and the from the ISO 27000 guideline. Okay, so something like having strong passwords, something like having multi-factor authentication. We need to quickly do that and make sure that we have that in place. Make sure that we put in role-based access control, so that we can have that concept of least privilege principle. You only have information on a need-to-know basis. Data encryption, that is critical, and making sure that we are going on, we're putting on strong data encryption with something like asymmetric encryption, where there will be use of two keys, so that we can really adequately control how our information is managed, and then linking that to availability and integrity of the data being passed around and shared. Those are the things that we actually looked at and recommended. Segregation of the network priority, making sure that you don't just have what we call a flat network where everybody has access to everything. No, we want to make sure that based on that principle of least privilege, we are parameterizing some of this network, so that you only have access to your level, and we can quickly secure our system better that way. Okay, we also talk about some of the detective controls, and using things like snort. Those are the kind of things, those are the kind of tools that we can use that can really ping us and point us. Having a CM tool where we have a dashboard where we can actually monitor all the data that are coming in, and then see where there might be areas of concerns quickly, and then we can respond quickly. So this is one way of actually just quickly doing that risk analysis and giving out a report. Now, I know it might sound, we just wanted to make this one quick and dirty, so that you can understand and see how some of these things are done behind the scenes. And then we will, in further classes, we should be going into details of this. Maybe we'll pick them one by one and analyze and talk more. All right, so that's it. I wanted to keep this below 15 minutes, really, so that you guys can quickly just go on and see, what this is all about. Again, if you want to join me, please, you know what to do. Just subscribe, so that when I drop one of these things, you can see this. And you can also follow along and learn one or two things. I hope this has been helpful. Thank you, everybody, and have a great day.